The Human Playbook.
Okay, so I recently read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. This was recommended to me by a good friend. And in the book, there's a narrator and the actual devil. It's sort of like a setup scenario where he's interrogating him. Somehow he's getting him to tell the truth, like he's on stand in court. And it's obviously like a metaphor and some stylistic choice, but that's all prefacing how he's getting the devil to explain to him how does he mess up people's lives and what can you do to get out of the devil's grip. And there's a lot that the devil says, very revealing, but this is one of the most important things. He says to outwit him. How do you outwit the devil? This is the devil's words. Decide definitely what you want from life, then create a plan for attaining it, and be willing to sacrifice everything else if necessary, rather than accept permanent defeat. And a really important part of this book is the concept of drifting. And that's like the main way the devil so-called ruins your life, is he gets you to drift from definitely knowing what you want, or definitely knowing your purpose, or what it is you're here to do. He, through many mechanisms, he gets you to fall away from your path. And a lot of that is by making you unconscious. If you are not conscious, if you are not aware of your thoughts, you will fall into all these perhaps sins. We don't need to be too neurotic about the morals of everything, but getting you to fall away from what it is you're here to do. So this is interesting for us to talk about because you and I have opinions about plans. And we also read that book, Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned. So my first question, are plans made before we start, or do they happen as we go?
Good question. Well, first of all, I love that symbol of the devil and outwitting the devil and meeting the devil and seeing his like techniques and how to distract you and yeah, so that's a good question. Are plans being made or are they discovered while you actually go? I think for me it's probably both. You know, it's like first I set some kind of a direction that I know, okay, let's say for me it's a lot about sports. If I would ask myself like, what do I really want to do in my life? And I set this intention for this year, actually 2025. I'm not a lot into resolutions, but for me it was like two things that I want to do a lot. I want to be around, travel, and do a lot of sports. So these two things. That might be kind of a plan, but for me, it's funny. Like one thing I really love to do is making plans and then losing track. and getting off track, you know, losing the path. I don't know. I think to set a plan or to make a plan in the beginning is good, so it keeps you going. You go into a direction. You have a point or you know. But afterwards, when I'm on the plan or when I'm on this path, I really hate knowing where the journey already goes. I hate that.
So do you think it's a mistake? Like say you come up with a plan, you definitely know what you want and you've made a plan and you're willing to sacrifice for it. Is it a problem to be married to that plan and feel guilty and bad about changing it or deviating from it? Or do we need to change it as we go and learn more? Or is that a way of drifting? Is that the devil outwitting us and getting us to kind of tweak what we set out to do?
Yeah, oh my God,
that's where I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah, I know. I see the issue. I see it. And I love to think about that now because it challenges me. But okay, drifting. How would I, first of all, explain what drifting means or getting off track? Or let's say, how would I explain how it would be if devil would take me into his custody and he distracts me. I think the feeling of that is, it's kind of a feeling where, oh my god, this is so challenging to put that in words, but I love it. Um, so sometimes, okay, here it is. Now that's interesting. Sometimes what happens is when I set a plan and a specific goal and I try to follow it, and I'm really, really rigid about it, like, nothing is gonna distract me. I'm gonna get my goal and I'm gonna fulfill that plan. And that for me sometimes feels more like following the devil, the ego, in my opinion, than actually allowing myself to kind of accept that ego death, which just wants to get things right and wants to achieve the goal and maybe explore a different direction. So for me, I wouldn't say that if I really stay on the plan and I really try to reach that goal, that this is how I outwit the devil for myself. Sometimes exactly doing what I said what I would do and finishing the plan and achieving the goal is exactly what sometimes I feel like devil wants from me. That
Mm.
that I would not explore something new along the path, that I would not have the joy of actually discovering new things.
I
You know?
never even thought of that. And when you say it like that, it's being rigid is so full of resistance, and it is so cutting off
Yeah.
of divine inspiration and delivery.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Mm.
I don't know if we can take, for me, the word ego in that sense. Okay, that's a a connection I make personally. For me, ego and devil is kind of the same. And for me, I see that
Mhm.
my ego very much cares about achieving the goal. My ego very much cares about being certain that I am fulfilling this plan that I set, and that I am always responsible in that sense. And my ego hates the unknown. My ego
Mhm.
hates to get off that track. And sometimes I feel like I am closer to God, because when I actually lose the plan, when I lose sight of the plan, and I get into something that really feels enthusiastic for me, that's when sometimes I feel like God wants that from me, because I feel like God is a player, God is an adventurer. If there is a God, I don't know, we don't need to, as you said, get too religious, but if there is a God, I feel like this God likes to play. This God likes the uncertainty and the unknown and the adventure. And if I try to follow that, yeah, sometimes I feel like he wants me to get off track. But let's quickly, in this way of thinking, I think it's very dangerous to, as you say, to maybe get distracted as well by the devil, because you're so open-minded that it can pull you suddenly in all directions.
And I've gone through that where if I don't articulate exactly what it is I'm doing, sometimes I wake up and I go, for the last 3 months, I've been making work that has, like, that I never set out to make. Um, and so I'm like, perhaps I do really need to clearly articulate what it is I'm aiming at. Maybe the compromise is the plan doesn't have to be so rigid. Maybe it can be like, there's the top of a mountain. There's probably hundreds of ways for me to get up there. And as I'm going up, I might discover that part doesn't feel good or this part feels good. So the plan can change, but the aim might need to be really anchored and solid. Because if I just say, oh, I'm in this landscape, I'm just going to kind of hang out, I might never make it up anywhere. Or I might turn to the wrong way. So, what do you think about the compromise of knowing your aim, but then playing your way there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible to connect both of them. For me, I always, but that's a special way of feeling or thinking about it. But for me, I'm always asking myself this question. Am I more interested in achieving the mountaintop and aiming at the right direction and achieving that goal? Am I more interested in that? Or am I more interested in discovering who I really am? Maybe besides that, maybe shooting into the total different direction suddenly. And ending up at a very different mountaintop. But maybe this mountaintop was just behind the thing I aimed. And I discover, oh wow, the view on that other mountaintop is actually much greater. Why? Because I didn't expect it. And for me, um, I think when it's in sports or anywhere, when I set a goal, I always ask myself, yeah, it's exactly that. Wouldn't I get bored if all the goals that I set and all the mountaintops, if I suddenly really reach them and if I'm really gonna be there, um, is this really what's gonna make me happy? Because it's something I kind of expect. And as I said, I think for me a lot of joy is in this unknown. And actually, Alan Watts, the philosopher, he talked about a similar thing. He said, if humanity would get everything they ever wanted, like everyone would really get like the new car, the holidays, the fame, whatever they say they are set out to go and do, and whatever, if they would achieve everything, at some point what they would wish is to not know anymore what they want so they can discover, because they would get so bored of getting all of that and achieving all of that they would actually wish uncertainty. They would wish to encounter again the unknown, not really sure what life has prepared for it. And I think that's something that I'm genuinely more interested than actually reaching that mountaintop. But how is it for you? Like, do you feel you really really want to achieve it, or is it for you like, do you set a goal to just go on the path, but then are you actually fine with not achieving it, or is it something that really really that you hate if you don't achieve it? How is it for you?
Ooh, that's a lot of question. I know that if I don't have a thing, some sort of mountain to climb, I don't know that I will actually do anything. Um, it's very animating to me to be exhilarated and frightened by the loftiness of the goal. Um, and this this might be something you can relate to or not. I need something to obsess over. I have an obsessive nature that loves to stick with something, and that's both very terrorizing and a huge asset. It can be very hard and amazing at the same time. I think you were also asking, well, this is what it made me think of. I'm also very interested in not necessarily picking a mountaintop because, okay, you have the mountaintop now. Now I have to come back down. What this is like, there's so many times where I've like gone on hikes and I'm just like, okay, it's done now. Like, I guess that's it. Or we went on the trip. Okay, we did it. Done. Check it out. It's like it feels extremely empty. What I'm more interested in, perhaps, is always choosing the right path and meandering. My favorite type of I go to Joshua Tree all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I like it is because you don't really hike there. You can hike, and there's tons of trails and stuff you can go on. But what's really amazing is there's so many rock formations that you can infinitely explore and not know where you're going to go. So that's really fun. It's actually kind of boring to be like, well, I know the trail, and here's the map. And it's going to be 7.3 miles and 1,200 feet elevation, and you go up and you come down. That's actually sounds really boring. What sounds really fun is here's a landscape with a lot of possibility, a lot of novelty, and I can do whatever I want in it.
Yeah.
That's because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That sounds really fun. So I want to be on a path, or not necessarily a path, but I want to be committed to doing something. Mm-hmm. Maybe there doesn't need to be a destination. But again, that's going back to like, is that the devil? I'm not sure. But all the best work comes out of being very playful and very silly and very childlike and very unserious and not trying to do anything. It's so weird and paradoxical, but
yeah,
I'm not sure.
No, there are many many very interesting things that you just said. Especially with the rocks and the stuff that you talked about, like that this is the interesting and that you don't know the trail, but again, I think that the devil, I was once reading in the old Latin language, I think the word interest is coming from what is of importance. And I think that if you are genuinely feeling into yourself and you do the things out of their sake of, let's say, because you're curious, because you're interested, you're devoted, you're absorbed in what you do, and you feel there is a really a deep love to whatever you do, I believe that this is never the language of devil. You know, I would really trust on my instincts in this sense. That means if I feel that I'm getting in such a flow state and in such a love and interest, and I'm like this small boy that I once was who really wants to know more and explore and do, I feel very close to God. And I feel like this sense of passion, it's just getting more and more momentum. And I am just there telling this small, or this inner child, I'm telling it like, look, I'm there. Whatever you want to explore, how many times you want to twist and shift and change your direction, I am helping you to create a space where you can follow that trail and follow that trail. And I think in that way, I'm really close to my essence and to God. And then.
And you have no resistance.
No resistance. But then sometimes what happens there is, and that's for me the devil, there are coming thoughts like, Sven, what the fuck are you doing? Is this gonna give you or get you anywhere important? Are you making money with it? Are you even helping people? What if your dad or mom or partner is gonna see you? They will laugh at you. This doesn't make sense what you do right there. Like, it doesn't lead anywhere. And for me to go with these thoughts, if I would go with those thoughts, I might be saying to the devil, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna have to be more responsible, and I'm gonna get a job I really hate, so I pay my bills, and everybody thinks, oh, Sven is such a good boy. He's doing what he's told to do. And I would probably be really bored and really sad, and I would go to work and come back home, and I would watch Netflix and indulge in all of that shallow pleasures because I have lost the connection with myself. And that for me would be devil.
And in that way, the devil has won, because a lot of what he talks about in the book is he's trying to get you to not achieve your true potential. So he can siphon your energy so you don't do anything good. That's absolutely devilish, what you just said.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the question is potential. Do you know your potential, or is it something you explore on the way, what's inside of you? You know what I mean?
No, what's the difference between knowing your potential and exploring it? Like, do you mean like you know what you're capable of, or you discover what you're capable of?
Yeah, you discover. Like, is it to let's say fulfill your potential or live your potential? Is it that you would say, I know my potential is to become a businessman who makes $10 million a year with real estate, for example? You know that's your potential, or you believe to know it. Or is it something rather where you set out in the world and you say, okay, I'm going to follow my interests and really give it all I got from my heart, and I'm going to see what my potential is? Like, what's the nature of potential? Is it something that can be discovered, or, you know?
I think it's the second one. And when I think about potential, I think of like, maybe when you start out on something, there's a small like orb of light around you, and then as we expand and learn more and fail more and achieve more, that circle keeps getting bigger. So like your options keep getting bigger. I don't think they become narrower. I think what you're capable of and what is possible is just expanding by orders of magnitude. And so when I think of potential, it's never really that specific. It can manifest in very specific ways. $10 million a year as a real estate guru or whatever. It could also be an amazing father, or being a baker, or infinite things. Yeah. Infinite things. It's not limited. So
yeah,
is that what you were asking? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a mango seed or something where you put the mango seed into the earth, and it's going to be a mango tree. That's all the potential.
It's
in
expansion.
That seed. Yeah.
It's potential expansion.
Yeah.
And I'm open to it. Like, again, you're supposed to have a definiteness of purpose. That's what Napoleon Hill talks about, the author of this book, and then also in other books of his, like Think and Grow Rich, which I think are important. And I really want to stay anchored to something, but I also want that definiteness of purpose to be able to evolve and improve and expand as I evolve and improve and expand. How am I to say that the 26-year-old me knows better than 30-year-old me
Yeah.
who has lived 4 more years of life? Like I should be allowed to improve and expand it. I
Yeah.
don't want to deviate. I don't want to drift. I don't want to fall off the path and say, you know what? I did set out to create and spread joy and have a good time and help people feel really funny and silly and unserious and empowered, and like everything is open to them. I don't want to fall away from that because I feel that's very lovely and noble and fun and freeing. I don't want to wake up one day and be like, I'm a comedian. I'm just a comedian. I'm making bad jokes and being kind of mean or whatever. You can go into that. That's very possible. I've kind of done that sometimes. But then also, I think it's Jung who always talks about you need to incorporate your shadow side. And every time I have denied my shadow side, being like my tendency towards a snark, a sort of evil, a sort of bitterness, every time I've denied that, even my good side deflates and loses all of its power. So I need to incorporate both, and I need to stay in that balance while still pursuing the goal, or not the goal, but what I feel so connected to, which is being silly, being joyful, being unserious, and throwing that out into the world as sort of a signal of here's what it's like to be like this.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I squish it into you do these ABC things,
Yeah.
it's so limited.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but there's one thing that I wonder, which I would like to ask you. If you said that you don't want to just be a comedian who makes bad jokes, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that whenever we put that self-image, or when we have that self-image of ourselves, like I'm just a comedian who makes bad jokes, that's a really harsh statement. Let's say you really love to make bad jokes. Let's say you really love it to do it, and there's a lot of enthusiasm in that. But then to suddenly wake up of that flow of creating things, and then putting a label on it and a self-image and saying, PJ, you're a bad comedian. These are bad jokes. Isn't this devil? Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, I sometimes wonder, like, it happened to me so many times that I was in such a flow and passion and enthusiasm in doing something, and then suddenly I would get self-conscious, and something is really manipulating me, and it's telling me that you're not fit enough. You have not enough muscles. You shouldn't do that. Like, this is childish, you know? And I think this is devil, because you might say you're bad, like you could be comedian with bad jokes, let's say, but somebody else would be very lightened up by your jokes and
Totally.
would see you totally different. So
Well, that's the emotional guidance system thing that you always talk about. Like, I think it's in the devil's interest to pull you down to lower frequencies and separate you from your true nature, which is joy and peace and love and humor. And then you're vibrating at a very low frequency, and you're unable to do any of those things for yourself and other people. So
Yes.
that makes sense to me.
yeah, totally. And you know what I really love, to be honest, about you is you said that you want to be consistent. You like to have this consistency. And I was last time thinking, like, I think in a book it was written that instead of saying, let's say, I want to run 10 marathons in a year, I would say, how do I become somebody who is running every day, who is waking up, drinking the good drinks and eating the food? Like, maybe the consistency is not really in what we do, but more in who we are. And I think that's, for me, where I am consistent, is I'm trying to be a person who never loses his curiosity and interest. I try to be a person who is not feeling bored or just needs to distract himself. I try to be a person who is involved, who is there, who looks around and chooses things that really spark an interest, and then I try to go into that. And I think to build on that consistency and trying to become someone or be someone is more important than being consistent in what you actually do. You know what I mean?
So it's the continuity that's important. What you're actually doing within the continuity is kind of secondary.
Yes.
I would agree with you.
Yes.
I would agree with you because things will change. You will change. The things you like will change. They should. Like, you're not here to do one thing.
Yeah.
And if there's anything I've learned in my life, and a lot of people have been programmed differently from this, it's actually way harder and way more gratifying and way more important to simply continue. It is a lot less important to get to a marker and say done.
Yeah.
That does not gratify you, and that is not nearly as empowering for other things. You, like I say, people take themselves out of the race all the time because they either get to where they were going or they don't get to where they were going. The difference is you should say, I'm interested in movement. I'm interested in going forward or backward. It doesn't matter. Everything is in motion.
Yeah. I love that.
And so that continuity is like such a North Star to me. Maybe I'll twist around. Maybe I'll go in a little ravine. Maybe I'll lay under a tree for a while, like on the side of a mountain. But I can at least feel secure and safe in the idea that, wow, I have not stopped, and and I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. I love that. Oh my God, that's so wise. That's I think what Albert Einstein meant when he said, I don't know the exact quote, but riding a bicycle is like life. You need to keep moving in order to keep the balance. And I think that's exactly what I was talking about when you are more concerned about who you are. And if you understand that at the basis of who we are and the universe and everything, if you look at nature, it's always expanding. It's always moving, as you say.
It doesn't arrive. It doesn't
Never.
complete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that could be maybe a tactic. Not sure if it's in the book, but maybe of the devil, could be to make you stop, to there's a part in us,
or dangle things in front of you that says arrive here and you'll be done. You'll be happy, and that's all you needed.
Yeah, exactly. And I know many people, they achieve great stuff in the village I live. They achieve great successes in life, and you know what, they are 70 or 80 plus and they still talk about what they achieved back then. Like, it makes me sad in some way. It's beautiful when you hear the stories, but you see that they are in kind of a loop. I did that, I won that race, I did that money, I did here. But then you wonder, like, hey, I understand, this is great what you achieved. And society and maybe the devil has pushed you to achieve it, and now you had it and you hold that like a trophy. But life is going on. Like, if you would keep on flowing and maybe let go of that old self-image, maybe you would realize that you would start liking to paint or make music. But then the devil tells you, no, you won a ski race and you are an athlete. You're not somebody who's supposed to paint.
And then where on the consciousness scale or frequency scale is pride? It's not super high up there. It's not as low as guilt. It's not as low as apathy. Then there's like kind of anger. But pride is not really that high vibration. Also, if we're going to talk about the devil, pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. That's one way that he talks about in the book how he's like a master salesman. He's because Napoleon is asking him, why doesn't God just step in and get rid of you or do something smarter than you? And he's like, that's the nature of negativity, is I can sell you things much better. I'm a master salesman somehow. And pride is one of the things he sells to you. And so that tracks with that. That makes total sense that pride might be something that you lock on to say, I'm done expanding.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then the devil
totally.
says, yes, I got them to not be light and expansive. I got them to stop.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so I succeeded or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then back to the emotions, I think when you are in that pride and when you're stuck there, there are certain emotions that will kick in for sure. Like even if it's just boredom or you don't really know what to do in your life anymore, or you just
Resentment,
resentment. Yeah,
hmm
exactly. And then maybe
jealousy.
jealousy, resentment, guilt, as you said, is really far down. Maybe you get angry. Well, anger is actually already a good emotion. It kicks you up
hmm
the scale. But yeah, that's really interesting. And I think then again, in order to move up the scale and find joy in our life again, we might need to outwit the devil, the pride, and we need to let go of this part that we are proud about ourselves, and we need to say, okay, I'm even in the tarot and the cards. There's this cycle where you always end up at the beginning where you're a fool again, and I
Mm.
think the ego, the devil, it hates when you feel like a fool and when you can admit that you are a fool, because and being a fool is something really really important, to start all over again and just be, as you say, silly or not getting things right and stuff. This is really important, and this is again the devil, which does not want you to be seen as a fool or somebody who is just starting with something.
Well, I love that you bring up fool because that's something I even forget, like the value of. And in many ways, the way I like to help people, so called, is I like to be the fool in public and say, look at how freeing this is. Look at this is not dangerous. Being the fool is actually one of the safest things you can be, because you're completely open, you're completely childlike,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is a joke. Not in a bad nihilistic way, but everything is worth laughing at.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, humor. I think
hmm
I
I
I
think humor is like way up there.
yeah.
I think it's overlooked sometimes in spirituality. I think
Yeah.
a lot of spirituality gets so serious. I'm like, you are missing the most important thing, I think, which is that this is all funny.
Yeah.
This is all funny.
Yeah. Yeah. This is me so much. This is a lesson for me that I'm trying to incorporate more and more in my life. Like I really have times where I'm serious about books and reading books and improving myself and spiritual stuff because it interests me. But then I had it many times. I did that for a couple of weeks, and then I would go on a trip with my friends who are maybe not as spiritually interested as me,
Right.
and I allow myself to just talk crap, like cracking one joke after the other, and none of the conversations would be
Deep.
deep, worth
Yeah.
recording or something. But I go home from these holidays, and I'm telling you, I'm buzzing. I'm
Yeah, your vibration is so high.
so high, and there are ideas, and you feel this. And the old Greek, they even say that humor, it means something like flow. It's like
Mm.
when somebody who's having a good humor is very much in flow. Oh, actually, it comes from the old Greek, from the medicines. They used it first.
The humors,
Yeah,
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 in
yeah.
the body.
Yeah, right. That the fluids were
hmm
something like that. Really interesting. I
hmm
think it's a huge part to be healthy, and
hmm
and I yeah, yeah, it's
Oh, I
fun.
love that. Yeah. No, some of the most like life-changing experiences I've had are not profound,
Hmm.
are not deep, are not introspective.
Hmm.
They are being insanely silly and goofy and risk-taking and bizarre with friends.
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
But
Or even by myself. Being silly
yeah,
is so overlooked.
yeah, yeah. But do you feel it as well that exactly there is where I sometimes feel like devil is playing his game is, for example, now let's take this podcast or anywhere when I'm with people, and if I would crack a joke with people I don't know yet so well, this is very scary because it kind of sometimes I feel like it reveals me, like the
hmm
mask. Sometimes I play the serious guy, and then when I would crack an unexpected joke, this mask, this playing
hmm
theater and being serious, it's suddenly exposed.
Mm.
And I think people who can do that, who have the courage to just crack the jokes, because maybe my jokes are as well sarcastic and sometimes, not really the best, but yeah, I think that's interesting with humor. Do you have the same thing or not really?
Well, I started. I've always kind of been unserious and a little, yeah. So I've known for a long time and had a lot of fun saying, okay, guys, in any situation, I will be the first to take it to cross the line. And that's actually very useful. People love that because it gives everybody else permission to relax.
Yeah.
If I'm rigid and protective, that's sending a frequency and a signal to everybody else. Stay just this closed.
Yeah.
It's actually super helpful and valuable if you kind of take the piss out of things.
Yeah.
And it relaxes it. It says this is all just for fun. Life is all just for fun.
Yeah.
We all came here to expand and be silly and have fun. And that's way more as an end goal.
Yeah.
That's way more animating than anything else,
Yeah.
I think. And all things can be achieved. I think things can only be achieved through a high vibration of fun, humor, love, joy, happiness, silliness,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Look at when we were kids. The whole thing was fun exploration.
Yeah.
The whole thing was not self-conscious.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. And when you have a look at a joke on how it's built, like mostly the jokes, is there's a rigid way of thinking of us, or like we anticipate when we talk and something, we always kind of anticipate the direction of where the conversation stuff is taking us. The basis of a joke is that it takes us out of that into something totally unexpected, and that makes us laugh. And I try to see my life in a spiritual way. If you see it as a cosmic joke, it's like all the time things are unexpected happening, and we try so rigidly to follow that thing. But maybe the whole point is to exactly start relax, as you say, and to start laugh from life and understand, oh shit, this happened, and I got off track again, and something new happened and flew in, and this is crazy, but it's such a joke, and I actually really enjoy this silly, unexpected existence that I'm somehow here in this meat dress and just walking around. And, to see it in that way, that can be really, really liberating. I love that.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, I have one last question and then we can wrap it up.
All right.
Is the devil real?
Oh. All right. You must know that I was growing up in a family which is really traditional and old school in religion. And if I would ask my grandma now, she would make big eyes and say, of course he's real, and there is hell, and when you die and you haven't been a good boy, you would end up in that place. And it made me always scared already as a kid. It didn't feel right when she talked about these stories about hell and judgment. So if I would believe my emotional guidance system, which I do, I don't believe there's a place like hell or judgment in this sense of religion, that there is a bad or evil entity who's judging us and wants us to be scared so that we don't do anything wrong. I don't believe in that. But I believe, or I would actually, for me it would help if I believe there is a devil. But for me, it's not a scary devil. For me, it's maybe a silly old man who tries to distract me with candies and stuff and wants me, in that sense. And if I would picture it that way, it would help me to say, okay, there is this, every time I think thoughts that do not feel good and stuff, this is the devil trying to bring me away from my path. And that would help me to think happier thoughts, because I would think like, am I going with the devil, with this old man, or am I choosing a path that feels more lightful and playful? So is he real? Is he not real? There are definitely two opposing forces in this universe, negative and positive, night and day. I think it exists in that sense, negativity, God. But I also think it needs to be there, to be honest. I think it kind of creates a contrast in which we see better, like, what's the light, what's the playful side, what's the beautiful thing about life. And every time we fall into the devil story, whatever, we actually just get more wisdom and knowledge about even more what we want and even more where the light stuff is. I think it in that way, but definitely I'm not scared of devil, or definitely I wouldn't paint it in such a way that I'm thinking it's this terrible, scary place where I end up and I'm being judged. Not in this way. What about you?
So that's so interesting you say all of that, because that's what in the book the devil says. He's like, I'm not a person. I'm not a thing. I am the negative space in an atom. I am the negative space in space. I am the darkness. And that's why he says, because Napoleon asks, why can't just God kill you and get rid of you? And he's like, well, there has to be both. And humans have the unique advantage of you get to choose positivity or negativity. Yeah. He says, me is the negative. I don't have the choice to choose positivity. And God is the positive. He doesn't have the choice to choose negativity.
Yeah.
You humans uniquely have the one choice to choose either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I also grew up very Christian and learning all of that stuff, and I got very scared of it once I was a teenager, and I said, this is very scary. I'm going to hell. And it was awful, and so I had to like walk away from it, and I didn't understand. And what's very funny is, like, as I re-entered sort of who am I, where did I come from, where did all of this come from, once I really re-entered that around COVID and read a lot of Roman philosophy, I think that's like one entry point back into that universal truth that all religion and spirituality and philosophy are pointing at. I do think that there is a lot of validity to a lot of religion. And I do think the symbolism of the devil and God is actually kind of useful for our human minds to conceptualize this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's an elegant explanation of what's going on. And I wouldn't say, I do think it's really limiting and cut off to say, well, that religion is wrong, and religion is old school and it's wrong. I only believe in spirituality. It's all the same thing. And like, you're just hopping from one ego trip to another if you're saying something's wrong or right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he's a spirit or a guy or something, but I do think it's a negative force, and I do think we can choose negative or positive, and that's kind of the end of it.
Yeah, and I think there is a lot of value for me to point that out and to say, let's call it devil or negativity, because let me give an example. Let's say the negativity or devil inside of me is looking at me in the mirror, and it says, you're too small, you don't have enough muscles. Let's say something simple, like many people have this self, guilt or shame or criticizing. Let's say that's the negative thought. It makes you feel really bad. Now, if you can say that there is a devil or a force, it's easier to distance yourself from this thought and say, hey, there is this evil force trying to take you in. You got to think better thoughts, or you are actually losing the fight with devil. But if you don't have that image, right, then you actually believe these are my thoughts and they are valid, they are true. And then I think like that, it really helps me,
This is perfect, because the devil says one of the main ways that I've taken over the world, he says I have control of 97% of people. And Napoleon is like, what? That's crazy. That's almost everybody. He says, yes, people who aren't aware of their thoughts and choosing their thoughts belong to me. If you do not say, ooh, I don't like that thought, I'm not going to think that. That lowers my emotional guidance scales and system is telling me that doesn't feel good. That's wrong. That's incorrect. That's distancing myself from my true nature, which is God, light, love, whatever.
Yeah.
If you are not conscious, you belong to negativity and to the devil.
Insane.
So you just have to choose. You just have to be conscious. You have to say, I don't choose that. I choose something different.
Yeah, exactly. And to get conscious in almost every area of your life, I think that's a really, really interesting journey you take on. Because
the devil does not want that.
Yeah. And he will try to come up with more and more thoughts in this sense, I'm sure. But it is an interesting journey, no matter if it's about money, about your self-image, about sports or wherever. He's everywhere. And like, if in any aspects, let's say money or business, if you think like, I don't have enough, I'm never getting enough, I need to do that job that I hate for the rest of my life, this is all the devil. And everybody is in that loop. So the devil wins, all the time. If it's, and then in sports, it can be again, like, I think that's where the emotional guidance system is so valuable. Every time you encounter emotions that do not make you feel good, if it's about money or about sports or your body or nutrition, whatever, you always know, hey, I actually live my life controlled by the devil. And if I get conscious of that in any aspects of my life, and I can choose the lighter and happier thoughts, that's a good point. Then we also start praying with our thoughts in some way. We start creating a new life, attracting new opportunities out of a more divine nature rather than God. Like, do you also believe that your thoughts create your reality, right? And manifest things?
Yeah, I know they do, because if I play around in the darker ones, in the lower vibration ones, that's where you just attract more of that. You have to work yourself up, and as I've practiced it, it's actually pretty easy. It can, maybe in a few minutes, you can shoot yourself up to a pretty high vibration. Our natural default vibration is really high. It's negative thoughts that pulls it down. So that's why people like meditating, because that's ceasing thought. But you don't have to do that. You can think your way to positivity.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I like that with the meditating, that this is a good tool, that if you don't find any better thoughts or feeling thoughts or whatever, if you just slow down, like, try to not think, or at least not get identified with your thought process, and you just go into that stillness, and then you arrive at your natural vibration, which is one of well-being.
Like, Abraham always talks about, you're like a cork. And if you just stop holding it underwater, you'll bob up to the surface.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. And this analogy helped me last time when she also talks. Sometimes I feel like when I have problems or something in my life, she also says, I feel like I need to wrestle them down, and I need to find a solution and really like focus on that problem, on the things that bother me. But why not just taking the focus away from it? Like, sometimes it feels
That's
like...
what she says, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like you can't just do that, Paul. You gotta figure things out. But to actually just take your focus away from this bad feeling stuff, maybe that's again a way to move away from devil and into something more lightful. And yeah, that's interesting. I love it.
Well, we figured everything out.
We figured the world out, man.
Now we're all done. We've arrived, and we don't have to do anything anymore.
Yes, we can die.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's
funny.
We're just 26 and 25, or actually we're both 20. No, you're 26.
We're both 26. Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Oh, you're 20. When do you turn 26?
Do I look that old to you? That's not nice.
You look so old.
I use all those creams, and you're telling me I'm 26? Man, I look like 15.
When do you turn 26?
5th of March.
Okay, I turned 27 April 23rd. So I'm about a year older than you.
Yeah, crazy. And yet I'm so much smarter. That's funny.
Yeah, so much smarter, so much more muscles, so much more successful. It's sort of like I suck and I need to give up.
What have you done with your life, man?
I ask myself that every day. I'm off the track.
Yeah, you're so off the track. I tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna set goals now, okay? Like really clear ones. Like eat clean, wake up 5 a.m., read 3 books per week, like
per day,
okay. And you gotta be disciplined about it, man. Like there's no space for exploration or anything like that, In 1 year we talk again, and then I want to see you. Like, you really gotta be this military guy who is totally ripped and smart. And okay,
and I have to make 10 TikToks about it a day.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
and show everybody.
Yes. And if you don't do it, you need to punish yourself with whatever, like, you can come up, like, not...
I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And anybody that's listening, try that with us and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. And if you fall into depression or whatever, it's just because you have some mental issues and because you're too weak, okay? It does not
Yeah.
have anything else to do than that.
You're right.
So,
Yeah.
beat yourself up.
Because you're a
for
bad person.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you know David Goggins?
Oh, of course, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Hey, if he helps people, sure, but that does not resonate with me at all.
Yeah.
Like same with a lot of the some of the fitness world. It's very like you need pain and stuff, and it's like, yeah, you got to kind of tear up the muscles and stuff. You got to push yourself. That's what you got to do. But like, what is this attitude? Like, why can't it be fun and happy? Like, this is so crazy. I want to be smiling when I'm, using my body and pushing it to the limits.
Yeah.
So, and I very much believe in discipline, but my discipline is like, does not feel like that. So
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And then sometimes he posts these pictures on Instagram from his nails and stuff, and his feet look so awful because he's doing all that running and not listening to his body, and his knee hurts.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, have you never seen it? Like his toes, man, they're black. They're
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So yeah, no matter what I achieve, as soon as I have nice looking toes, I'm actually happier than him.
You've won in life.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Tune in next week, everybody.
Tune in
We'll
next
figure
week.
out everything again.
Yeah. This podcast is gonna make you so successful and happy.
Yeah. And rich.
And rich. Yes. The Human Playbook.